I think we have entered an overdrive with this tournament. This is already the third series we'll be commentating. With me is Crota. Hello, Crota. And
hello, Ewan. How you doing?
Yeah, as good as always. I was born to be doing good. And here we have a series we have picked up in the middle. It is spawning from X-Tag team Bourneq as the blue turret. I think it's not blue, it's steel, or how some would call it, mineral. But then he spawns on the bottom right corner of the new Kirk city.
Yeah, and over here on the bottom left-hand side, we do have CSC's Turuk. And one thing I want to note, did you notice that Blizzard hasn't fixed the left-right in the name display? Like, Bourneq's name is on the top, is on the left side, and Turuk's name's on the right side.
Can I surprise you? If you do Ctrl+X, you are able to switch the name tags.
Oh my goodness, wow, I learn something new every day.
I love that feature, although we'll be still going for our own observer interface because that feature is so much cooler than this this overlay from Blizzard, but still, just adding the feature of being able to switch sides is great. I think it's one of the simplest solutions to the problem you have been mentioning.
Yeah, actually Blizzard, I was actually at Blizzard headquarters a couple weeks back, and they were showing off a lot of new casting features.
Right.
So, that are all coming part of the Swarm. Like, you can move everything, you can keep the production tab always open, and the units, remove all the interface, only keep the mini-map. It's going to be really, really good for casters like us. Yeah. But one thing I did want to say, this is a TVT, and I'm not expecting a 5-minute game, so I'm looking forward to that.
Oh yes, and TVT also has been evolving a lot recently. People have been trying out the Hellion drop plays. We have a couple of 7-minute games to be more precise. I think 2 weeks ago, where both of the players just went for extra fast rush into the Hellbat drops, but now Hellbats take up four cargo spaces in a medivac. So it's no longer so powerful, and I think we'll be seeing more and more Reapers. So we have a Reaper opening from both sides, and Turuk is already going for an expansion on his natural, building it straight up where it should be standing. And here Bourneq is just guarding his main. This Reaper is not very Reaperish, since he is defending the base instead of ripping the opponent apart.
Alright, we're going to see an attack here. Reaper dancing with Reaper. That's not good for Turuk, as a Marine does take a little bit of damage, but nothing too concerning there. Both of these players are actually going for faster expansions, which does come as a surprise to me. I would have expected to see more of the 1-1-1 build as well, besides the Reapers, since Siege tanks no longer need Siege tech in order to lay down some early pressures. So there's been a lot of changes in Heart of the Swarm, and I think a lot of players are just trying to feel out different strategies. What's the best way to get from point A to point B, expand while also not letting your opponent freely expand as well. Harvester counts at tech looks pretty even. You see a starport now coming in from Turuk. So this may be that a 1-1, or no, it could be a Hellbat drop, as we mentioned, or as you mentioned earlier.
I'm not really sure it will be a Hellbat drop, because it's just so late now into the game and both of these have taken an expansion. Although, having that considered, they may be counting upon that. I think that... let's just check what, because there is one most determining factor. Yes, Turuk has seen the opponent's expansion, he knows it is there. The only difference in timing on these expansions, by the way, was the fact that Bourneq has built here his own on the high ground, as opposed to Turuk, who was very ballsy and built his straight where it was supposed to belong. Now, we already have 2 Hellions, and will we have an Armory? Armory will be a big tell of saying, okay, this is going to be a Hellbat play, but I don't think we have Armory anywhere in production or present on the map.
Yeah, so without that army, those Hellions will just stay in the little race car modes. So it may end up just being a cover fire drop where Hellions provide cover fire from the low ground as the Marines are dropped up on the high ground. You can see that there's a rather high Marine count from both of these players, and Hellions, as we all know, are very, very effective against Marines and have decent range to handle them as well.
That's exactly right. We already have... Oh, Turuk, it seems he'll be going for mech. He's building a second factory, which is usually a big tell. He doesn't yet have gases on his natural, but that's kind of cool as far as, you know, as long as you're willing to go for a lot of Hellions. On the other side, Bourneq is just going for a lot of Raxes, so we'll be having mech play versus bio play, which I think is going to be entertaining and probably is going to be a display of what you can do with the new Heart of the Swarm possibilities of your units.
Yeah, it looks like Bourneq is doing more of the Wings of Liberty style, the standard bio metavacs. They are going to have that speed boost as we now see another engagement come here, but all the Marines are just corralled together. This could be very bad here. The Marauders trying to take down the Hellion, and the medevac not really doing any healing as only the Hellions are taking that damage. They are going to be pushing back once again, and I believe the Marauders and the Marines, as there are more and more reinforcements, should be able to handle this fairly well. And I believe Turuk will be forced to retreat and return home.
I think so too, although he has just reinforced his army with additional Hellions, and no, he has lost them all due to Marauders. Marauders are very strong, and also Hellions regret the fact that Turuk hasn't built an armory, because I'm not sure if you know, but if you transform your Hellion into a Hellbat, it can be healed by a Medivac, which in my opinion is quite crazy, but hey.
Yeah, I think it was the perfect addition. They were trying to find a way to fill the role of the Firebat and fill the role of a Vulture from, you know, the classic Brood War, and they said, you know what? Let's just put them together and see what we can get. We already see the Afterburners already igniting for those medevacs. They will be able to reach their opponent rather quickly, but at the same time, Turuk doing the same thing as well. Those Hellions will be dropping, and this is going to be a play of who can deal the most damage. Turuk countering with double Vikings out of his starport, so the medevacs will be forced to retreat. In just a moment, as the Hellions are now running inside the main base.
But will they get spotted? The Hellions are already in the mineral line of Bourneq, and he's losing his SCVs as we speak. 8 lost, even more will be grilled in a second. Now let's take a look how the other drop goes. It has been forced to retreat. The Vikings are doing a good job of trying to chase off this one lazy medevac that tried to escape. 10 workers killed. On the second side we have 7 workers killed, so I would say it was a pretty equal exchange, with one exception of this Hellion still being present here, which I don't really like.
Yeah, Bourneq also lost one of his medevacs as well, which is going to set him behind overall 2,100 resources versus 1,900 resources lost. And if you take a look at the SCV count, though, Turuk has his extra gas already up. He has a 6-7 SCV advantage going in, and Bourneq is now trying to play a bit of catch-up. We are going to see, I believe, 2 Vikings just hanging around. And both of these players got a good feel for each other, and now they're going to try to figure out how to follow up all of this play. And it looks like Turuk is going to follow it up with Hellions, Hellions, Hellions.
Yeah, it seems so. Also, one of the things you mentioned, using the afterburners right after you leave your own base, it's so smart. You know, the first reaction to the afterburners addition to medivacs was using it right after you, right before you get to your opponent's base. But then, if you want to optimize and optimize and then optimize even a little bit more, people started using afterburners right away. But then none of that matters. Now we have a battle upcoming or not. This took a nosedive. Turuk is placing his own siege tanks, getting ready. Very good position. He has the high ground vision, so he should be safe from any high ground siege tanks of his opponent. And Bourneq not really sure how to approach this. He's just spreading his own army, steaming in and running, trying to catch the siege tanks. And will it be enough firepower to catch them? Oh well, 3 of them left standing with a low health, and all of them go down. Medivacs, not a lot of health, but then Turuk uses his own afterburners to escape the fight. Very good approach by Bourneq.
And now you can see that Bourneq coming in from the over here from the right side of the map. And the reason why afterburners are so good is that there's only a 20-second cooldown. So between the use, you get an 8-second afterburn and then a 20-second cooldown. So there's only 12 seconds where they're not actually moving at a crazy speed. And here comes the army delivering the units. And it just felt like 15-20 seconds ago, Bourneq was defending his base, and now in comes the strong push from the far side as Turuk catches a siege or loses a siege tank out of siege mode, and now looks like he will be able to retreat once more.
Yeah, now as you can see, Turuk's Hellions are already Hellbats, so they can be healed by those pretty Medivac pilots. Medivac pilots, the sexiest unit in Heart of the Swarm and Wings of Liberty, known to humanity, and Bourneq retreating. Surprisingly, this huge drop maybe has just looked bigger than it actually was, because there were not too many units in the Medivacs. I think it just looks scarier than it actually was, and Turuk was easily able to defend that. Now he's going for the Hellbat drop with 2 Medivacs instead of 1, because it takes 2 Medivacs to take care of 4 Hellbats and take them straight to the mineral line of your opponents. And you know, the fact that they take more cargo doesn't mean they are less effective. It just takes 1 more Medivac to carry them over to the second side of the map, and already a very fast reaction by Bourneq. I love that. And Turuk is retreating straight away. Will he go for this group of SCVs? Yes, he will. Oh my god, such a huge cone damage. Oh, this was not at all expected. And we are up to 23 SCVs lost by Bourneq.
Yeah, for a lot of you guys out there who don't know how good Hellbats are essentially splash damage roaches that deal even more damage to light units. That's how good. It only takes 2 shots from a Hellbat to take down a worker. Even with, they don't get Blue Flame upgrade, they don't even need it. And they can 2-shot and just harass a whole bunch of units. But now we see Bourneq coming over the top with a whole bunch of Vikings. Here is that nasty, very mobile Bioforce. The only reason to go Bio compared to Mech, how mobile they are, and whether or not they're going to be able to catch Turuk out of position, as both players are now setting up on 3 bases.
I think I will need to call you out on one of the things and shatter your vision of the reality. Hellbats no longer have the Blue Flame upgrade. You can still do the upgrade for Hellions, but I think it was changed in one of the patches that when you transform into a Hellbat, it doesn't benefit from that upgrade and doesn't get any bonus damage.
I was just saying that the Hellbat had an upgrade on damage compared to the Hellion version.
Alright, sorry.
That damage is just so much larger.
Misunderstood you. Anyway, we have a huge battle on the middle where Bourneq is just trying to force his opponent to back away and deny him the air advantage and the vision, because recently in Terran versus Terran as general, players stopped going for Vikings all that often because they started relying on Medivacs for vision, high ground vision, and just having that air superiority, because if you go for Medivacs and your opponent goes for Medivacs, it's kinda okay, and that was a mutual agreement. Okay, we won't go for Vikings and we will still have some high ground vision. Anyway, the game kinda evolves in an interesting way. Bourneq was the player who seemed to be on his all fours, really, and trying to get up, and now he is in a very strong position, and Turuk has a problem leaving his own base.
Alright, it looks like Bourneq is going to be trying to do another 3 Medivac drop. After burners should be able to land in here. There is a lot of supply depots, but there are plenty of missile turrets as well. And Bourneq may get a rude awakening.
Oh, but the Vikings... Oh my god, the Vikings were just perfect timed by Turuk. And Turuk has just kinda anticipated that, okay, he backed away with his army. He had a lot of Medivacs and a lot of Bioforce. What would be stopping him from doing a drop right now? Probably nothing. Better I check. And he did so. That's a sign of very high level play. Turuk anyway is a very strong Terran player. And we have a battle. Huge number of siege tanks, more than I have ever saw, are now clashing against a Bioforce, although with so many Marauders in it, the siege tanks are just dropping like flies. There are even more in the background. There's a lot of Viking power taking down the enemy's Vikings, but is it enough? Turuk right now is probably going to land on top of the siege tanks, or not? No, not really, just backing away, and he's very happy, very content to keep the position he has.
Yeah, Turuk actually had about 6 siege tanks out of the battle for quite some time, and I think that's why Bourneq looks stronger than he was. By the time Turuk was forced to unsiege his siege tanks, move them over a couple of inches, and then re-siege them again, Bourneq just was able to just shell this all completely. Oh, it looks like the siege tank may be able to get in some shots there. Nicely done, and it looks like some more siege tanks may be falling. Bourneq doesn't have enough energy for a scanner sweep. He backs off as Turuk has air superiority, which does account for superior siege tank numbers as well.
Yeah, a very precise movement with that one siege tank to kind of push the line a little bit. And now Hellbats are just taking down the rock tower, and they will be just making it more difficult for Bourneq to take an expansion. Right now there's a huge pile of rocks that he'll need to take down first, and if there was an expansion it will be in trouble. Turuk moving on with his marauders, they just look like marauders, don't they, the Hellbats?
Yeah, they do look like marauders. Walk kind of slow, very small range, but still very effective. And now Bourneq is just hiding over here. He is still running on 3 bases. He's not too far behind. It was 4 bases to 4 bases, but Turuk has just been trading much more efficiently. And if Turuk, even if he loses 2-1, he'll take the game, and there's the GG.
There's the GG, and Bourneq has managed to, well, establish enough bases, but then was not able to deal with all of that pressure that Turuk was putting on him. And I think Turuk is showing how you could use the new combination of siege tanks and Hellbats. Effectively, you basically have your Hellbats to soak up the damage that the opponent is trying to throw at you, and give enough time to your siege tanks to deal the splash damage. And that's actually great. So this means Turuk is moving up in the bracket. The next game we have is going to be Tefel versus Sage. So stay tuned for that, guys. We'll be back in a sec.